You know what I hate, Pat?
Huh.
Is that like all of you people out there in the world,
people.
all of you people. You know what I hate is that like I can't always remember. I consume so much media.
Yeah.
And I can never remember where exactly I saw things.
Yeah.
You know? And this
Happens
is why
all the time.
This is why this can't be a facts-based jiu-jitsu podcast.
No.
Because even when I listen back to episodes, I recognize things that I fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
But get this, guys. We'll start this podcast off by telling everybody that don't worry. Nobody knows what they're doing. They're all just making it up as they go along.
I have learned that just from driving around the state. Everybody's just making it up.
They're just making it up, guys.
People put something on their car, and then they expect that they put something on their car to tell you how to drive.
Right.
Like, I don't get it. There's like everybody puts this. They put a student driver sticker on there.
I see a lot of those.
And then another sticker that says "back up." What the fuck?
I thought we were going forward.
You watch out. You're the student here. I'm going to teach you a lesson, bud.
Hey, you want to talk about backing up? You want to hear a story, Pat?
Please.
I'm going to tell you a story for the start of this podcast. I don't know if you've run into this. I'm sure everybody has. But you go to the gas station and there's somebody that's in need. Okay, and
yes.
in need, they by that I mean they live in Philadelphia. That's what happens in this area. We're in central Pennsylvania, so they live in Philadelphia.
They just got to get home.
They just got to.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's almost like I fucking heard that. And guess what? I'm thinking of a guy in Florida I talked to that just lives right over Tampa.
Yeah.
But he's in St. Petersburg. He's got to get over the bridge.
But he can't because he has no money.
His car broke down. Ran out of gas. Down. It's right over there.
It's
right over there.
Over there.
It's over there. I had a point where I was like, what are you, dancing? What is this? So yeah, sorry.
I used to live in another city or thereabouts in central Pennsylvania called Lancaster, and there was a gas station that I visited every day for coffee in the morning before I went to work, and the same guy, there was a guy there. He needed. I had change. I gave him change.
Yeah.
I actually fell for it. I was like, oh man, that sucks. Like, here you go. I was very young at the time.
Yeah.
And then I saw him again.
And you're like,
and he had the same story, and I'm like, man, you still haven't gotten back to Philadelphia? Like,
hold on, let me give you a little bit
more.
more.
Like what you need is you
need some folding money.
Yeah, you need some
Here
folding money.
you
Here you go, buddy. And then
that's $1.25. That'll get you a bus ride to here. You know what I mean? Like you're doing the math for him. You're like helping him, and he's like, okay, all right.
Maybe I can call some friends and like we could.
Do you need a ride?
Yeah, we can make this happen right now.
And he's like, yeah. Where are your keys?
And then I saw him again, and then I saw him again and again, and I've seen this anyway. I go like I think I told this story, but I don't know if I did it.
I don't think you have here
on the podcast.
No,
it was my birthday last year. By the way, my birthday is coming up again, and I'll be a year older than I was
out of here.
last year. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
What the fuck? We should get you some cake.
It's it's insane. Yeah, so my birthday's coming. So this happened on my birthday last year, which by the way did not turn out to be the greatest day.
I remember that.
Yeah, this went back.
That was funny. Yeah,
I got
not funny, but
it was
terrible.
funny. It happens. It happens.
In hindsight.
At one point in the day, I was like, you know what? I want a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
I'm going to go down to the Sheet Station.
Want a fucking Pepsi.
I went to go get a Dr. Pepper, and I pull into the parking lot, and a guy approaches me in his vehicle, like rolls up on me on his vehicle, and he's like, hey, man, come here. Come here. You got a minute? And I was like, oh, shit. So you never know like what you're getting yourself into, and this guy's like, hey, I want to sell you this watch, all right? He wants to sell me his watch.
Christopher Walken. This watch.
This watch. I don't know where that watch has been, but I got an idea.
Yeah.
So he wants to sell me his watch, and he needs the money because he's got a family to feed, and he's in desperate times, and he needs to sell me this watch. And I'm like, listen, man. I'm going to be straight with you. I've heard this one before.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want the watch.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
No, thank you.
Like, very polite.
Right.
Because, like, I don't want to escalate these things.
Yeah. Please save your breath. No, thank you.
Yeah. Like, I'm just going to tell you, no, I don't want the watch. So I go into the store and I get my Dr. Pepper, and I come back out, and he's still parked behind me in my vehicle. Like he because he pulled up behind my car in the parking lot. He's blocking
real quick.
Yeah, just real quick. I went into the store and admittingly I was in and out pretty quick.
Hey.
Because Sheetz has self-checkout, so I had to, but he's blocking other cars too, not just mine.
Right.
And I get back in and he's staring at me, okay? And I get in my car and it was a nice day, my windows were down, and I go to back up and he's not moving. He's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And I like peek my head out the window and he's like, "Come here." And I'm like, "No." No, I'm like,
are you doing this in your rear view or are you actually looking
I'm like,
out?
I'm looking pissed is what I'm looking at. I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, get out of the way. Like, I want to leave." And this dude, like, he's just staring at me and he's like, "Come here." And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Get out of the way."
Yeah.
And he's like, he looks at me and he leans out the window and he says to me, "Motherfucker, do you know who he says, "Do you know who you're fucking with?" And I was like, "Motherfucker, do you know who you're fucking with?" And as I go to get out the car, he backs up.
Yeah.
Dude, I leave the parking lot and I go around the corner. I'm staring at him and he backs up and his whole family comes out of the Sheetz station and gets in the car. Like they had like 4 kids and a wife.
What the fuck, dude?
And they all had bags. They were all carrying, like, they bought shit in the store.
Probably went to a self-checkout too.
I don't know what. It was just people in cars like telling you what to do. Oh, that's what inspired.
No. That was my thing is a little different. I was driving today, and there was a row of cars with their blinkers on, and like cars were like passing them, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'm pretty sure that's probably like maybe a funeral procession, but then I'm like, what are you supposed to do? Then I was thinking, Jeff, I got so fucking angry by myself in my car because the guy at the head of the procession was a truck. You're not the head of the procession. The other guy's the head of the procession.
Right.
I don't know a lot about him, but I'm pretty sure it is preceding the guy, the or lady, whoever's in the box, right?
Who's ever in the box.
In the Undertaker car.
Goes the way.
Right.
It's called a hearse.
Whatever. Gravedigger. Who's ever in Gravedigger. But there was a truck at the front that was going like this, and I was just like, what's going on? What the fuck is this? But then I immediately I said to myself, Jeff, I was like, it's not my fucking fault. I didn't scream this at them, luckily. But to myself in the car as I was driving past them. Because they were getting on the highway, which then I'm like, you're the one that booked the Friday cheaper rate. You wanted to avoid the weekend rates. You got the Friday at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Who
is this, a king? You're not going to stop traffic for you. But that's obviously.
Did you get around them then?
Yeah, I drove. I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to pass them, but I'm going to pass them at a respectable speed. I'm not going to go around them. Right. But I was also like, I don't know. It's not like an emergency vehicle, but they are allowed to go through intersections. Like, what's the law there?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
But the guy up front made me feel like he was like, "What the fuck are you doing? That's my uncle." Like, I with all due respect to everyone on planet Earth
who died,
no one gives a shit.
Right.
No one but your family and immediate friends and family give a shit. I know that when I die, I hope Jeff will care.
I'll care.
Dom, a handful of other people, and like that's it. But if you expect to stop traffic for me, please don't do that in my name.
Yeah, please go around.
Don't do that in my name.
Just go around me.
Just go around.
You don't even have to go around me in a respectable speed.
Yeah.
You can go as fast as you want.
Yeah. Guys, call each other and meet up at the fucking... What are you doing? Why do you have to be in a row?
Right. You don't actually have to drive my body down the street in a procession at all. Nothing. You can put me in a box truck if you want.
You can put me in the garbage.
Yeah.
I won't care.
Yeah.
I can't care.
Yeah.
I am dead.
Yeah.
Do whatever you're comfortable with, but please don't do anything like
questionable.
Hey, what are you doing? Let's make my gam.
I thought you meant like violating your corpse.
Oh, you can do that.
Oh, okay. That's on the table.
I thought that's what donating your body to science meant. How many can we get?
Oh man! You know what? This leads up to our main topic, and you're going to say, "How is that possible?" And I'm
Honestly,
going to say,
Jeff, I'm looking forward to how you're connecting it.
Okay, watch me work.
Here we go.
Okay, so when you're in those situations, the problem is like you just don't know what to do.
Right.
You're like, "What's the right answer?"
Yeah.
You don't know the right answer, and guess what? Nobody else does either.
Okay, good.
Nobody, like I'm sure there is some asshole on the planet that knows everything about everything, and it's like, well, obviously,
in a safety vest.
Obviously, you're never supposed to pass a funeral procession on the highway, and but everybody etiquette says right. Yeah. I'm sure there is, but most of us don't know what to do,
right?
And it makes us feel like we're idiots.
Yeah. I felt stupid, but I was like, wait a minute, what like you're going on the highway,
right.
So you expect traffic? Like that's when I was like, wait, so is traffic supposed to stop on the?
All traffic supposed to stop?
Yeah. What are you doing?
It's rush hour, and what are you supposed to do?
It's not a cop. Like there was no cop cars in the thing. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like you were a government official.
Right.
Like there was no
right.
Nobody holding office. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that all life is precious and all life is equal.
Yeah.
Which means I don't give a fuck about you just the same way you don't give a fuck about me.
And now we're even.
It works that way too. So you're right. I know how to handle emergency vehicles. I know how to handle
important
whether there's a median or not a median. I know who has right of way in almost every scenario in traffic.
Right.
So that's why I wasn't doubting myself until that dickhead was going cuckoo, 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 and I was horn, and I was like, I got 5 for your eyes, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. What are you supposed to do? You don't know. You just make a decision, and then you have to live with it. And this leads us to our main topic today, which is that I want to talk about like what it's like to be an instructor. For Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And now my perspective on this is going to be strictly on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I don't teach anybody anything else. But I'm sure this falls in line with teachers everywhere. Where this sort of meets together is that oftentimes, guys, I feel like, and as today, I will paint the picture where I felt like I was in a position where I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
And
that's got to be tough when you're leading.
Right.
You're leading the class,
and specifically in context to like a position or a move or a technique that I'm teaching at the time. And God love you guys. Everybody wants to figure out how to defeat the technique that's being taught at the time, and that I totally appreciate. That's a jiu-jitsu mind.
Yeah.
That jiu-jitsu mind says, okay, you're always in one part or the other of the technique. So you're either the person that is the technique is being applied to, or you're the person applying the technique.
Yeah.
When you're the person applying the technique, you just want the person that you're training with, your training partner, to just cooperate so you can learn the technique.
Yeah.
Right? But your mind, as the person that this is happening to, you're already thinking about how I'm going to...
muscle memory. Yeah, you're like, your hands go, you're doing this.
How am I going to stop this from happening to me? And so what occurs oftentimes in these scenarios is that I'll have, I'll have several people come to me and be like, well, what if they do this? Or I'm having trouble... The worst one is I'm having trouble doing this with this person. I can't. Am I doing something wrong?
Yeah. What happens if they're this size? Or
right.
Like,
exactly.
It's supposed to work anytime.
And it happened. This happened several times this week, guys, because we're working on back control, and I have to tell you that every position in jiu-jitsu, when it comes to the grappling arts, if you're fighting another grown human being who doesn't want that thing to happen to them, it is difficult. Yeah. It's not an easy task.
Right.
And I hope I never paint the picture in like the instructions or on this podcast when we're talking about technique or jiu-jitsu or whatever, that it's easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not.
If you're a grown person and you want to stop me from doing something, even when you have no jiu-jitsu knowledge whatsoever, it's still not easy for me to go from one thing to the other. It's arguably much easier for me to do it when I know what I'm doing versus somebody who doesn't. However, if you're putting up a fight, you're putting up a fight.
Yeah.
No and we've seen it. But what happens is like there are times where I'll go to that person and I'll be like, well, give me your partner and show me what they're doing. And I'm like, sure enough, they're tough.
Yeah.
Like I can't. How are they getting out of it? Like
I don't know.
And then you start thinking to yourself, like, shit, maybe what I'm teaching isn't working.
Yeah.
But I know. I'm like, what the fuck?
But why would you? Yeah, you're thinking. You start to doubt your.
You start to doubt your abilities,
yeah.
and then you have to continue with the rest of this class. Like you're like, maybe I'm just leading these guys down the wrong path.
And especially as an instructor, you are meant to lift everyone else's self-esteem and their knowledge and everything.
I would like
that.
to. Yeah.
And at a certain point, if you dip. Like much like the song says, you dip, I dip, we all dip. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's true.
Yeah. So like it's essentially that it's that same idea where you have that like your confidence may waver a little bit.
Right.
But if you show it, they could be like, wait,
Yeah,
do I
this
know
guy
anything?
does it. Yeah, this is great. What have I been doing this whole
Which,
time?
by the way, makes me feel really bad about bringing up a couple episodes ago about how the fact that I know zero fundamental. I hope that didn't start the snowball effect.
As a testament to my imposter syndrome. Pat doesn't know any fundamentals, and I've been teaching him for years.
But again, I want to let everyone know I think I have undiagnosed learning disabilities. He's not a miracle worker, guys. I'm still alive, aren't I? My arms aren't broken.
Right, I guess.
Nobody can omoplata at all. So, I mean, that's the other thing.
It's a win.
So, I mean, I have some strengths. But yeah, okay, I can't fucking shrimp. Well, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I eat shrimp, motherfucker. I ain't shrimp, I eat them. Sorry, I digress.
No, that's fine.
Deeply.
No.
So don't. I hope that. But when you brought this topic up, that made me feel like, oh my god, I hope I didn't.
You didn't.
Add to this at all.
And so you didn't. But it ebbs and flows, and of course, and I'm not talking about like when you're having an off week. Everybody has an off week where your brain's just not working the way you want it to. I'm talking about that like internal strife that says, should I be teaching classes?
Yeah, just give up.
Am I qualified to teach these people Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Like,
yeah.
Who died and gave me the right to teach this class? And I don't want to ruin it for everybody by spoiling the end. But in the end, what I discovered is, and what literally happened, was that during a live roll with one of my students, I applied all the techniques that I was teaching for the last several weeks in a very live context. And guess what? Everything worked.
Yeah.
Everything worked just fine. It was, yes, exactly what you needed to do. And it reaffirmed and it helped me feel like better about things. So it got me thinking about like what happens to us when we get to this. And part of this is also an homage to like all the great instructors that are out there, because I think we take them for granted. And I'm not saying that you guys can take me for granted all you want because I'm an imposter. But everybody else that I've learned from and so forth, I think I marvel at their ability to seamlessly put techniques together to come up with, classes like 5 to 7 days a week of teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I admire the shit out of that.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And then to be thinking about this and internalizing it and trying to craft like better ways to teach all the time is like really an inspiration for me. So part of this episode is just paying homage to some of the great instructors, some of which I know personally, who have instructed me throughout the years. And then all the other ones too that we maybe don't spend. I know we talk about John Danaher a lot, and he's owed his due, I think.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of different styles. That was my shoe, by the way, Kitty. I got squeaky sneaks on today.
He's like, what the fuck?
What the fuck was that? I have. I think that there's something. Not every black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a good instructor.
No. That's people. It's people.
It's people,
in general.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
I'll tell you this, Jeff, and I hope this will give you a little bit more peace of mind as well. If I'm given the choice between two instructors, and I have one instructor that tells me I've never made a mistake, and I have another instructor that says I make mistakes, but I have improved every mistake I've made, I'm going to go with the person that's made the mistakes. Okay, well, that was going to lead me to my first question to you, and that is, in your opinion, Pat, what makes a good instructor? To me, you can be any profession. Anybody can be anything. Sure. Anybody can be a firefighter. Anybody can be a police officer. Anybody, I mean, mostly physically. Let's just say that. Like, anybody can actually just go work for the police department, actually go work for the fire department. But you have to have a desire and a need to do that. But I feel like there is, you can be an instructor, but it's about your drive to do it. So the fact that you show up every day means that you want to do it. You do want to do it. Right. So if you have that, so I think what makes a good instructor is somebody that is willing to change their methods. Somebody that is open to changing their methods, but not necessarily always looking to change their methods. Right. Somebody that is, like you said, if you're like, oh shit, there is a scenario like this, or somebody that is looking at all their students and going God damn, what's going on? I don't know. I don't know if you're what the fuck is going on here? Yeah. Because you just explained it. And I think a instructor worth their salt is somebody that's going to go am I doing this right? Is everything going correctly? Is
Yeah.
this? It's a willingness to be open
Sure.
to
Sure.
learning still.
Yeah.
Is I think the
Good
best
one.
instructor.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I would
the best
agree.
way to sum that up.
I would agree. I think that and I thought because I thought to myself like, what are the attributes that make a great instructor?
Because you weren't like, oh my God, I'm an imposter, I'm out of here. You
No.
were like, I'm an imposter. What do I do now?
Right.
That's a true instructor. You weren't questioning instructing. You were
no,
questioning
or even jujitsu.
And I brought this up before because we were talking about the subject of keeping someone's back, and you're like, oh man, it feels like nobody can keep anyone's back. But I'm like, you're teaching it to everyone,
Right?
so everyone else is doing the exact things you're saying to avoid. So
Sure.
I think a good partner is somebody that doesn't necessarily just let you do it, but is also kind of, and I'm not giving a percentage even of
How
resistance.
much resistance you provide? Yeah.
But
Well,
if I'm doing the step, don't skip steps.
yeah. No, don't skip the steps. Don't skip the steps.
Right.
If your instructor is providing you with the steps,
You
do
don't
the
know
steps.
who is skipping steps.
Yeah.
You don't know who is.
Yeah.
So it may
Yeah.
look jumbled to you,
Yeah.
but I think it's also an amalgamation of having a busy week, having
Sure,
all
it
this
could have
other
been.
stuff, and then also just being like, man, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing? And then you roll with them, and you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah, it's fine,
I
right?
know. They
yeah.
know.
Yeah, they know.
They
Right.
know.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, oftentimes it's never like a reflection of how everybody's performing.
No.
It's more of a reflection of I worry that I'm not communicating this correctly. Also, I have a whole variety of you guys that are so much smarter than I am, and so I'll say this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. Show the move or whatever, and one of you motherfuckers will be like, I feel like it's like this. It's like showing me a better way to control point. You just articulate what I just rambled on about
yeah.
way better. And I'm like, yeah, that's way smarter than what I just said.
You did it, dude. You did it. I think it was last week or the week before. Justin, you gave Justin kudos in 2 weeks worth of classes.
Yeah.
For about that takedown with the
Sure.
Russian tie.
Yeah.
That's something you talked about Joe teaching,
Yeah,
showing
right,
you something.
right.
That to me is already where, there's no question you know what you're doing. There's no question that you know how to.
Well,
convey it.
I think there might be.
Well, in your mind, no, we don't know what our faces look like when you look out to us, but you say a lot of times there's
Yeah.
blank stares or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Maybe you're getting certain faces where you're like, people are going,
Okay. I've gotten them. Yeah, for sure.
But
yeah.
like you said, roll with those people or do whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe if I feel like you have the teaching style that you have formed for yourself is one that is more thorough, and you're only getting more thorough.
I'm trying, yeah.
And you're giving a broad stroke, and then you're giving finer points, which is, I think, how every artist should learn.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You
It's a
learn broad
reductionist
strokes.
method. Yeah.
Yeah, you learn, but that's the thing is you aren't John Danaher in the sense that you don't teach like him. You don't have the approach to him. You don't always fucking wear rash guards. He's never not in a rash guard and a fanny pack. I'm not hating. I'm just saying.
Right.
You have a whole family and a whole other career that's going on while you're doing this other stuff. That if there's even a doubt in your mind, it's the fact that you've been doing it for this long, and if people don't agree with it, at this point, I think you should carry the confidence of okay, then it's not for you.
Right. When I think about what makes a great instructor, I agree with most of the points that you just made. I look for folks that are continuously learning jiu-jitsu. I think that it's sometimes really difficult because for a lot of folks, and it's okay, by the way, I'll preface this by saying it's okay, that jiu-jitsu is just a hobby.
Yeah.
It's something that they enjoy. They don't want to get too deep into the woods, or the weeds with it. They just kind of want to enjoy their time, learn some technique, hang out with their friends, do something physical. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I don't know how to say this. I'll say it on the podcast. I love jiu-jitsu so much that it has infested every being of my DNA. Okay. To the extent that there's not a single day, there's not one day, guys, in the entire 365 day cycle as we travel around the sun, because we know that we do that now versus the sun going around
flat
us.
Earth goes like this around the sun. More demonetization.
There's not a single day that goes by that I don't think about jujitsu, or I don't think about it. I don't think about it like I mean I don't just think about it. I mean I'm thinking about jujitsu.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking always in context to like how
you're like pondering it. You're not going like you're not like
I study, I ponder. Yeah. I'm not right. I don't think upon it. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like I try to figure out, in what ways can I continue to provide you guys with the best instruction that I can. And also by that same token is like, how do I learn, stuff. So anyway, I admire instructors that take it seriously enough that it's like part of who they are, right?
Yeah.
They as a result, they're continuously trying to learn how to improve their own jujitsu, and also trying to improve how they teach or instruct jujitsu.
Yeah.
And they're pretty easy to identify because they're ones that are like they'll say, come here and let me try this move out on you because I'm practicing it. Then I'm like, this guy's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been fortunate that the instructors that I've had throughout, and trust me when I tell you, I've had some shitty ones too, but for the most part, I've had really good instructors in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I've had really, really great instructors where I made my home, Team 3G, shout out, Harrisburg, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo. And for life, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Really great instruction there. And again, it's because it's the consistency, as you'd mentioned too. It's not just that they're always practicing, but they're always showing up.
Right.
They're always there.
Yeah. You became a part of the business of jiu-jitsu.
True.
So like you are not only that was probably the last place in your life that it wasn't fully like you.
Yeah, that's
like,
an interesting point. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like you adding now it has fully taken over, but there's only so much of Jeff physically to give.
Right.
So
sure.
so there's matters of like other things that need addressing, I feel like a lot of times, but no matter what, you're always willing to make and that's exactly right. If the fact that you're making time for jiu-jitsu no matter what, makes that even that more cherishable as like as an educator because imagine that's like a teacher opening a school for children,
right?
You know what I mean? Like that's the same exact thing, and people that wouldn't appreciate that for whatever it may be,
sure,
and for the most part free until the opening of the school. For the most part, you are making that same exact time day in day out. So
right.
And the fact that now it's a business, that means daily somebody needs to be there a couple times a day to teach jiu-jitsu. And the fact that you found other people that are willing to also give that amount of time.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that I find that like you can,
they respect you and they have them part of your team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these black belts can't be wrong, Jeff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's where you have to reason with yourself when you start having these moments of imposter syndrome of like, look at the fucking wall.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a thing where like you're that's what makes a good instructor as well. It's somebody that surrounds themselves with people that are also good instructors.
You did it again. Like that was exactly what I was going to say too. I find it interesting too that I generally can tell, a great instructor usually has other instructors that go to them for instruction, as well as they have a great group of people that train with them on a regular basis, and I can objectively look at their jiu-jitsu and say, yeah, these guys are really flipping good. Like
Danaher hangs out with that prick. You know what I mean? Like I question his judgment sometimes. So I'd say you're better than Danaher, my friend, because I'm the biggest jerk I feel like
you are.
I'm not as hateable as him. I don't look as good either, but hey,
but you can't win them all. Look, one of the things too that like, I don't, because I don't want to make the podcast about me specifically about like my imposter syndrome. One of the things maybe what would be helpful too for like our listeners is like as we talk about like what makes a great attribute for an instructor, like it may help you find a great instructor if you're in a position where you're not receiving this. Because one of the things that we just touched on earlier on is that like not all black belts are great instructors.
Right.
In fact, you can go onto YouTube right now and watch a bunch of tutorials from black belts all over the world, and arguably great black belts in and of themselves, like in terms of their own technique. The way they approach jiu-jitsu and win competitions or whatever. But then you watch them on YouTube instruct and you're like...
And they talk too much, or they don't know how to
Says a guy with a podcast.
Fucking black belts. Shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you grab the wrist. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think there's I still think there's a matter of like of imposter syndrome in self, like in everybody, in a matter of where it's. And I'm not saying that this is your
No, good. Yeah,
this is opening it up to more people. I feel like
which is right. What I want to do. Yeah.
Is basically saying like sometimes imposter syndrome can sneak in when you don't have the appreciation that you you know what I'm saying? Like maybe somebody vocalizing to you your progress or saying something or giving you credit. Not that saying that that's what you're asking for, that you're hoping for, that you're thriving, but sometimes it's like you're putting so much hard work in, you don't see the progress. So I do think there's a level of relatability in that sense that you put so much, so. It becomes almost routine where it's like, yeah, well, I got a problem. About jujitsu. I'm gonna talk to Jeff. Hey, Jeff, what about this? Hey, Jeff, what about this?
Right.
And it's almost like you have this, again, like a parent, like just going like, I just never feel like these kids it's never enough. There's like a level of that, I'm sure, to that as well.
I mean, there can be, I guess, but I mean, I really don't, like, I really enjoy solving those problems. So when you have questions, I'm glad that you ask me. It's just that, like, you tend to, like, forget, like, you get so far away from again, feeling like, I think when you're solving problems all the time or you're in it all the time and you take a step back, you're like, am I doing this right? Like, is that, or am I, because it's something else that I think we all fall victim to.
Is my teaching leading to these problems? Okay.
Right. Yeah. Is it that I'm creating more problems than I'm solving becomes the question. And I think one of the other things, like one of the other attributes that makes for a great instructor is that especially in terms of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but again, can apply to anything, is that they are in defense of jiu-jitsu at all times. So jiu-jitsu becomes like the priority over all other things. Whether you're a black belt world champion, whether you're a white belt, a 4-stripe white belt who's been there for a year and a half, like they look at those things and say, this is all still under the guise of jiu-jitsu. So in other words, I don't put a preference on somebody who's been there longer necessarily in terms of jiu-jitsu, that everybody gets the same level of instruction and care and consideration, because jiu-jitsu is what matters. So I think to sort of maybe sum up this topic, like and again, it sort of turned into like a therapy session for me, but that's not what my intent was.
But that's the perspective that I feel like we got to go through, because no matter what, like you can talk about it all day, but I feel like as far as educating and educators, I feel like this is so relatable to probably most teachers.
Yeah, I would love to hear other people's perspectives on this as well.
Because and that's what I'm saying is like, that's why like the appreciation thing is not. I don't mean that to say like you're sitting there going like nobody values me. Like,
because nothing would make me more uncomfortable than like an outpouring of.
but I'm saying that you're so passionate about it that like it can be so defeating. Like when I put myself out there so much for stand up, when I ask like, please can I perform at your club, and I get no response, or I go, there's still a voice somewhere, part of it that's like, no, I think you can. There's just something you need to change. Just change something else. Like maybe it's doubt, maybe it's ego, maybe whatever it may be. But there's still something that tells you like, no, like keep coming, keep showing up. Even though you have this imposter syndrome, you work through it, and that's why I'm saying like it can't rule your life.
You're right,
and it isn't just about you.
And I think though that like brings up my like one of my final attributes in somebody that I consider to be a great instructor or a great teacher, and that is they have just enough ego. They have just enough belief in themselves to say, no, I am worthy, and I deserve to be here. I'm going to be here.
Yeah, I just need to find my spot, and I need to figure out and that's what I'm saying. Is
and they come in with confidence, and so hopefully when I'm instructing, I never seem like, I don't know. I'm like, no, you're definitely going to do it like this. Then I'm like, what am I doing? Right, but when I'm teaching it, it's like, no, this is what we're doing.
Right, and it's so funny how, like how even you've even said in the past, and you bring it up. You even say like, "Oh, I used to teach it this way, and I know you've all been probably taught this way, but there's a much easier way, or there's a different way."
Right. There's a different way. Right.
Yeah. That's the thing. Is like, you're willing to share your knowledge, your extensive knowledge with everyone else, and for anybody, and like I said, the same thing as regular, just day-to-day educators in school. The fact that you're willing,
Right.
to do this as your job, as a profession,
Right.
no matter what the pay is or whatever it may be. I'm not getting political. I don't give a shit. I'm just saying that I respect the shit out of people that are willing to do what they really love and care about as a profession, despite the pay, despite the conditions,
despite all of the things,
despite the funding or whatever it may be. And that's what you've been doing.
Yeah,
so
true. Yeah.
It's
thanks, man. Yeah.
It's a situation where you're like, hey, man, this is what I want to do.
Right.
And I'm going to do it. And I feel like I can do it, and you are doing it. But then every once in a while, there's those blocks where you're just like, "Fuck, what am I doing this right? Like,
am I doing this right?
Why does it? It feels like I'm 10 steps behind, and it really is. You got to listen to old Tay Tay.
Yeah,
shake it off.
That's right. Tay knows what to do.
Tay knows what to do.
She knows.
Shake it off.
It's I think to wrap up this topic too, because one of the things too that I want to make sure that I'm very clear about is that, as an instructor or as a teacher, it is very rewarding.
Yeah.
I'm not. Hopefully, didn't come off as like taking a shit on teaching.
No, and but this is important.
It's very rewarding.
Yeah,
and it is actually my privilege and my joy to be able to teach anything to anybody for that matter, but let alone like something that I love so dearly, and then to watch you guys grow. And in a lot of ways, be much better than myself in terms of like your technical prowess and understanding.
This is what I always like to say: show, don't tell.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Is what you do every day is you show us that you don't have to say you don't have to reiterate that.
Right.
What you can tell us though is how, like, you're just like, hey man, every once in a while I doubt it, because it just means you're human, and it just means that
for
like,
sure.
It doesn't. In my opinion, my personal opinion, it doesn't mean that anyone should doubt anything that you've ever taught necessarily. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
maybe
I just get a little refund. I didn't know you didn't exactly know all of this stuff was going to work.
Do you want to hear?
Can I just pay 60% next month?
Look, I want to digress on something real quick. As we move on to other topics, that was really well said, Pat. Thank you. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the perspective on that. And just know that, like, for you guys out there that are looking for, your instructors are human beings too. They do like, look for the ones that are open to new ideas, that are training, that are practicing jiu-jitsu all the time, that love jiu-jitsu as a part of themselves.
Yeah.
And understanding that because of that every time they're teaching, they're giving a piece of themselves to you guys.
Somebody that gets excited about jiu-jitsu.
Somebody gets excited
you still get
about.
Super excited.
I'm
about
so
jiu-jitsu.
pumped about it, man. I do. I fucking love jiu-jitsu so much.
Yeah.
And then lastly, they have just the right balance of like, confidence and also like a humbleness about them.
They have a rash guard that says "Po Buddy's Nerfect." you know that they're willing to. They're going, hey, you know what? Son of a gun. There's a better way.
Yeah, there is. Right.
What do you know?
Right. Those are the things you want to be looking for in your instructors, and I think you will succeed very well in jiu-jitsu. And I strive for those things. But funny thing that you just said about like a refund.
Yeah.
And speaking about being a gym owner, let me tell you guys. Let me tell you. Being a gym owner is different than being an instructor.
What? Well, how come? Is it just a lot more fun?
Well,
are you referring to the funometer?
Let me tell you that all of us as partners in a gym have earned our black belts in the custodial arts.
Yeah,
there's a lot of trials and tribulations to owning a gym, but the most fun, and I put this in quotes because it's not really fun at all, is dealing with the public, right? So
super fun.
You get a lot of calls and you get a lot of stories, but one of my favorite things that just happened here recently was that I had somebody that signed their child up for jiu-jitsu but then didn't show up. Okay, so they signed up and they extended their child's membership beyond the 2-week trial into an 18-month contract.
Yeah.
But they never showed up for jiu-jitsu. and so the phone call I got was a request to cancel the membership because they were unable to make the schedule work to accommodate their child's, jujitsu.
Okay.
Totally understandable.
Yeah, happens all the time.
It does happen.
There is a clause in the contract that says
that's right.
There's an amount of time you must.
You must, yeah. I mean, your contract states specifically. It is a contract, because it is a business, and there are rules that we follow. But the request was for me to refund the money to the time that they
Even
were
the trial one.
All of the money refunded to all the classes that their child did not take in the time that they were part of the contract because they couldn't figure out when the best time would be to go to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that, right?
No.
You can't just say like, "Hey, I haven't been going to Planet Fitness for 4 months."
So now
you just give
owe
me all that money back.
Now you owe me.
No.
No.
Why didn't you call us 4 months ago? You idiot. That's really funny, yeah.
It takes all kinds, man.
But I would understand that. I would understand trying that, like just to be like, "Hey, I haven't been there. Can I I know I haven't said anything until now, but can I just have some of that money back?"
That's
like,
right.
No.
Also, it's an easy answer. I'll tell you that much. But it's still you're like, what are you thinking?
Also, as an instructor, sign in, guys.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. You brought that up the other day, and I was like, "Shit, I don't know."
I could do a whole. I
may not be a 4-stripe blue belt.
I could do. You might not. I mean, I could do a whole episode on please sign in. This is very important, and this just goes for my students who are at my gym because
this is Jeff exclusive.
This is me. Right now, I'm going in instructor mode, and
when you
I'm
show up,
I'm no longer vulnerable. Here we go.
Yeah.
Please sign in.
Yeah.
Please sign in.
Do you know who the fuck you're messing with? Jeff is back.
Yeah. Fucking sign in. And you know why? Because nothing frustrates me more than the other night. I had a class of like 20 some people, and it was packed, and only 7 people signed in.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if you're ready for promotion or give you your promotions if you don't sign in.
Yeah, because when we sign in, our name pops up as the attendance list.
Yeah, you're on the attendance list along with your rank and your time and grade, and whether I think you're ready for a promotion or not is irrelevant if you haven't signed in.
With all due respect to traditional educators, I would have to say, with considering the amount of similarities between and the amount of education you had to go through before you became an instructor,
right?
You might be more qualified than some teachers, and you're having to deal with the same thing. You're going with the attendance. You're going like,
attendance. What do they take every class? Attendance.
Yeah, you're like here. Okay. And you're just like, all right, Jose? Is Jose here? Jose? And you got like a piece of tape. Jose. Okay. Right.
Oh, also, by the way, this is a great point right here, and that is if I catch you signing into my class and not showing up, I will get you.
Ooh. Yeah, because he's looking at the list anyway, and he's like, okay, there's 7 people, and the 7 people that are here aren't here.
Right.
I fucking know you, idiot.
I know who you are.
All right. So
anyway, we're moving on.
We got out of vulnerable Jeff mode back into surly Jeff
God, I feel
mode.
so much better.
Good.
Oh, okay. So what's happening in the world of jiu-jitsu today?
This was something that I feel like I hope continues to grow. This is Khabib has requested $5 million to face GSP in a wrestling bout.
Wow.
So
now, is this straight, is this freestyle wrestling or is this like submission wrestling?
I'm assuming it has to be submission wrestling.
I would think so.
It would have to be something because I would like to. Much like if we're going to do all these super fights, they just had the face-off recently against Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou.
Right.
And there's, what else? There's Jake Paul and fucking Dylan Dennis. Dylan Dennis boxing.
Right.
Gets me so, I don't even, what is the polar opposite to ecstatic? What is the exact opposite of
depressed?
Cannot wait.
Depressed.
I dread that this thing actually goes through.
Yeah.
With Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul boxing.
Yeah.
Or not even Logan Paul. Is it Logan? What
I
are
don't
the
know
Pauls?
who. I don't know which one.
I don't care.
Is it Jake? Is it Logan? I don't give a shit.
But GSP and Khabib.
Oh, definitely.
And that's the one where I'm getting on let's get to the negotiation table. Okay, what about $6 million? We add a little bit of judo, a little bit of jiu-jitsu. Let's just grapple.
Yeah.
What about a no holds, no time limit, submission only, grappling match?
It would be great.
We can have hybrid rules. This is now
Sure.
I'm booking it because as far as
I didn't. Maybe you were.
As far as if Khabib is offering $5 million, that makes me feel like he's getting the itch.
Yeah, he wants to get
come
back. Exactly.
He
That's
wants
exactly
to,
what's happening.
He wants to compete.
Yeah, of course he does.
So if it's not,
But
GSP,
you know why though? But
Ooh.
you know why? Because again, the avenue, the door's been open. We just talked about this a couple of podcasts ago. The door's been open for these guys who are no longer fighting in mixed martial arts to come in and still be athletic, still perform at a top level. And it's in a like he doesn't have to worry about getting punched in the head.
Yeah,
you know, you don't have to, you can go and just demonstrate your skill sets in a very exciting format.
Yeah,
and still be a top fighter.
It's like basically you can it's MMA without the punching.
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to make it any kind of. There's no combat. This still
no
totally
slapping, no punching, no kicking, no biting, no eye gouging, no ball strikes,
no tickling,
no tickling.
Horse shit. Again, not as bad as the Logan Paul, Dylan Danis. I can't even say Dylan. It doesn't even roll off the tongue. Dylan Danis and Logan Paul. Whoa. Summer blockbuster coming at you. There's there's a lot going on with the fantasy booking stuff.
Sure.
And I'm most excited when I saw that. That was as exciting to me as seeing fucking Mighty Mouse in a brown belt. That's still astonishes.
It blows your mind, right?
It blows my fucking mind.
Yeah.
That he was making such incredible grappling progress and history.
Yeah, as less than a black belt.
Less than a black belt, yeah.
Right.
Less than the elite. He was definitely not a purple belt, I would have to assume. And so
again, and not to
harp on belts.
Not to harp on belts, but kudos to now it's not. It could just be that he was not part of a regular jiu-jitsu curriculum. But if he has an instructor, a jiu-jitsu instructor, which I assume he does, like you just put your time in, and that's when you get your black belt. So praise to his jiu-jitsu instructor who was like, "You're great, you're great at jiu-jitsu, but you're not a black belt yet."
Yeah.
I'm not going to just give you a black belt.
Yeah, that's it's just so crazy. Like,
because that instructor loves jiu-jitsu. That instructor says jiu-jitsu comes before Mighty Mouse.
I know that you have. You're gonna be a Hall of Famer in probably every organization,
right? Of course,
but come on, buddy.
But when
we all know I choked you out yesterday. Fuck off.
Yeah, that's awesome. Also, we should also mention that Gordon is on the mend.
Yep.
And he's scheduled to fight. I don't know off the top of my head. There's a recent video that just came out with him doing an interview, and I think he did state that he will be fighting in December, but I'm not positive. Don't quote me on that. But he is coming back. He is ready to fight, and he wants to, because he's going to be under the Who's Number One banner. He's going to be fighting under that organization. And
who's left? Really? That's what they should call it. Who's left? Really? You know what I mean? Who's left for him to face?
We've got. I mean, there's definitely people that. First of all,
but that'd be cool.
But it would be cool. But we also have he had contracted fights before his illnesses, and so he'd really like to try and make up for all that time that was missed out of illness.
For all that time.
So
allegedly,
pump me up.
He's just got to make up for that time.
I'll be ready soon. Yeah. Did you ever see that SpongeBob episode where he has the fake? It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You could say, "Have you seen that SpongeBob episode?" And I could go,
yes.
Yeah. You could say, "Have you seen that SpongeBob movie?" Yes. Yeah. Hell yeah. So that's what's going on in the world of jiu-jitsu and SpongeBob today.
Yeah, today. Right.
Look for Gordon Ryan. You know that guy. And also Fabricio Verdum. Fabricio Verdum against Gordon Ryan.
Yeah.
That's the next match.
Well, don't forget, we do have the Damian Maia GSP grappling match on the way as well.
Yeah. I don't know. Since the Khabib thing, I kind of don't care. It's that's how funny it is. How absent-minded MMA fans can be sometimes when they're just oh my god, it's Tony Ferguson against Khabib, and they're just cool, and then they're like, oh, Conor McGregor against Nate Diaz, you know what I mean? We'll watch that later.
Yeah, okay,
that'll probably happen. And then it just kind of fades away.
Yeah,
I feel like people are talking about that less and less. There's an alternate universe where Tony Ferguson actually fought Khabib and beat him. And we're not even talking about Khabib anymore.
Just so you know, Khabib, in an alternate universe, you lose all the time.
Yeah, and every time.
Every time.
You're 0-29. Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
sure. Well, yeah. I just let's bring Khabib back.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, you know what we should do?
Huh.
We should
Ask a black belt. I got a long question for you, Jeff.
Okay.
You ready for this one?
I've got a long answer for you.
I'm sure it's going to be very good. You're going to be able to follow this. So
Okay.
listen to my words as I say them very clearly. You ready?
I'm
It's
ready.
going to be great.
We'll slow things down a little
This
bit.
is from Andrew.
Andrew asks.
Okay. My name is Andrew. That's how you know it's going to be a long one. Okay.
Right. I need to sit down for this one.
My name is Andrew, and I'm a white belt who trains pretty consistently 3 to 4 days a week. Would you say it's okay to also be watching instructional videos on YouTube, Instagram Reels, etc., to learn a new technique or two? Or should I be relying solely on what my instructors are teaching me in class? Could the extracurricular content help me progress faster? Or is the oversaturation of jiu-jitsu content online maybe not such a good thing? Curious to know what you think. Thank you. Big fan of the show.
Wow.
Those multiple questions, Andrew. I thought you were a fan of the show. Ask a black belt. One question each. God damn it, Andrew! The one guy that's like, big fan of the show. I know.
You're just like,
What the fuck? What's your favorite color? What do you like? What do you like in your ramen noodles?
yeah. You know what, Andrew? That was a very thoughtful question, and I do have an answer for you, and that is, you're perfectly okay to watch technique videos on like your free time to gain new perspective
or matches. Like
or
you,
matches.
You even suggest that.
I
Watch
do.
full matches.
I do recommend if you guys are, especially if you're brand new to jiu-jitsu or you're in that phase between white and blue belt. It's important to recognize that for everybody, including black belts, is that you have a finite amount of good decisions to make every day, right? Your brain just runs out of like opportunity or space to collect new information and then to apply that information. And so you have to be very careful with how much of like a technique or techniques that you're collecting during any week of training or any day of training for that matter. It's far better to focus on basics based on where you are in jiu-jitsu. So if you're a white belt, you should be focusing. You should be focusing on like the key fundamentals that would make you prepared for your blue belt. In those fundamentals, there will be specific techniques, yes, but globally, you should be learning how to move your body.
Yeah,
you should be learning. And understanding things like base and posture and balance, and then all the techniques that are applied within those realms that are predicated upon fundamental understandings and learnings of jiu-jitsu. Now, that being said, when you go onto YouTube and you watch a bunch of technique videos, just make sure that when you're doing it, that you are consuming this just as a perspective model. Yeah. So if you're like, don't try and retain it in as much as you're just like, oh, that's what that is.
This isn't the gospel. This is an option.
Yeah. Oh, that's what that position is. That's what this looks like.
Because I brought a couple of those to you in the past, and you've been like, well, yeah, but what happens if they do this? And I'm like, of course they didn't bring that up in the video.
Right.
Like, what if there's a simple, how do you do?
Yeah, they win every time in the video, right? Right. This is the undefeatable technique, and there's no such thing. So what I do recommend, though, Andrew, is like make sure that you follow your instructor's path. Generally speaking, that there would have to be a method to their madness. So while you may be anxious to learn new things, and you should be anxious to learn those new things for sure, just allow the process, enjoy the process, and take advantage of those opportunities for that personal instruction, because YouTube can't provide that to you. If you're on the fence about like whether you should watch instructionals or matches, I always side with matches. You learn so much from watching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. For all of you guys that are brand new to Jiu-Jitsu or in the beginning phases of Jiu-Jitsu, if you need a solid introduction into watching matches, look up Marcelo Garcia.
Oh, yeah.
and he is and continues to be, but he's retired as a competitor, but he but still instructs. If you watch Marcelo Garcia, you can watch highlight reels, you can watch full matches. This is, in my opinion, and will always be, as far as I'm concerned, Marcelo Garcia is like the pinnacle of jiu-jitsu. He's somebody that never didn't train in judo and jiu-jitsu, never lifted a weight, doesn't spend extracurricular time in extending his cardio or his muscle endurance intentionally for jiu-jitsu. He just does jiu-jitsu. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's a phenom. He's amazing. And always was from a competitor standpoint. Ask any professional jiu-jitsu person who their favorite grappler is, they're going to say Marcelo Garcia. Somewhere in that list is Marcelo Garcia. So if you're interested, Andrew, in gaining some perspective and keeping that flame alive, so maybe it's not just like technique, but it's just getting jazzed about learning jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Just watch Marcelo Garcia compete. But great question, Andrew.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope I answered that.
Kind of long, but I guess we can go to the next question if we still have time. The next one is from a little fella named Robert.
Oh, Robert.
Robert says, keys to coming back after a long time off.
Yes. Grace. Give yourself grace.
Grace.
Yes.
How low can you go?
Yes. Give yourself grace and time. When you guys come back from a hiatus on jiu-jitsu, however you measure it as a long time, trust me that your hiatus isn't the longest that I've seen, okay? I know guys that have been off for 8 years and came back to jiu-jitsu. I would look at it like this, Robert. I would say I would take the perspective that you now hold from having been off the mats for this time. This means that you've given yourself a full reset in terms of how you're going to approach jiu-jitsu. You're obviously if it's been depending on what the time span is, but let's just say for the sake of argument, it's been a year or two or something of that nature. You're a little bit older, certainly not younger. We don't get younger in time; we get older. But you also hold a different perspective now as you re-enter the world of jiu-jitsu. There's lots of things that you've learned up to this point. All that stuff is still relevant. Whatever belt you hold, that is your belt. So there's don't feel like you have to change back to a white belt or whatever, assuming that you're not a white belt currently.
Right.
Is that take and give yourself grace. You will reacclimate more quickly than you think you will, I think, to jiu-jitsu. And also know that everybody that you train with, if you're going back to the same academy that you train with, everyone's going to be really happy to see you.
Yeah, and we're going to beat the shit out of you.
And beat the shit out of you.
Hypothetically.
Yeah. The biggest thing to give yourself is grace and time when you come back to the mats. Allow yourself to be where you are and know that all the things that you've already learned will come back very quickly. You just have to give yourself that space. And don't apply expectations on those things. Don't put limits or expectations on those things. Just let them happen.
Nice.
You'll be perfectly great.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So come back, even if it's been a long time.
Yeah. Please.
Don't give up.
Don't ever quit. Never quit. All right. So, you know what?
What?
I understand that you're the purveyor of fine musical tunes.
Yeah, I've been known to spin a tune from time to time. Why do you ask, Sailor?
Well, I ask because I'm curious to know what's on your turntable.
I do a music podcast with a friend of mine named Andy Malafarina called Drag the Lake. The reference is a song by a band known as Every Time I Die. It's a lyric from one of their songs. But it's mainly saying that a lot of new music, there's a lot of great music out. A lot of new great music out. And there's a lot of really shitty new music out.
As always.
So a lot of times we like to go back and kind of reiterate, go over some old tunes that we used to listen to or see what it springs up. Revisit a lot of times.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we do like to celebrate new artists.
Of course.
There was a band that we spotlighted. What the fuck is the term for that?
Yeah,
Spotlit?
You spotlit.
We lit spot it. We focused on a band.
Highlighted.
Highlighted. There
Yeah.
you go. Highlighted a band known by the name of Capra. They're a
Okay.
newer band to us.
I've not heard of them.
And I believe newer in general. They have they had a music video that we checked out. We played. We commented on. Made a couple jokes about.
Okay.
And posted it but saying mainly the song fucking rules. The video focused a lot on the drummer, and I pointed it out. I was like, who edited this video? The drummer. And we joked about it. But in the post, the band commented and said, "Hey, drummer here. I definitely didn't edit the video, but I appreciate the love, blah, blah, blah." And we're like, oh shit. Like, the band would actually watch this. So, and actually in turn, the guitar player for the band reached out to both of us and was like, "Hey, really no hard," because we made a video saying like, "Hey, sorry."
Yeah.
We're just kind of like, "Hey, we're, just so you know, like, we like the band." And they were like, no. Like, we talked to the guitar player, Tyler, reached out to us and kind of started up a friendship.
Sure.
And so it's cool that not only like when we see the perspective of, we change our perspective to see progress a lot of times. This is a thing where our reach actually is actually getting to some of the bands and artists that we're talking about.
Right.
And and luckily a lot of times we're not speaking ill of the band. It's a gentle roast maybe, but we are also both stand-up comedians that are talking about, we are shitting on everything anyone loves, including things we love.
And don't worry, guys, it will clearly come with an apology later.
I'm telling you.
Maybe even like
time.
proactively, preemptively.
Maybe even heartfelt.
maybe even heartfelt.
Probably not.
So name of the band again?
Capra. And I will say.
And what kind of music is it?
It is. That was the funniest thing is we were talking about the genre of this band. It's so unique that it's a 4-piece band, a guitar player, a bass player, the drummer, and just a singer. And they're on Metal Blade Records. They have a very much metal feel, but it also has this thrash sense to it. Also with like a hardcore punk, like almost like a Comeback Kid or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a very diverse as far as heavier music. It's really hard to pin them down to exactly one type of genre.
No, I dig that.
But they are also a female-led band. The lead singer is a female who fucking rips.
Yeah.
And their latest single, damn it, I wish I had it fucking handy.
No, it's okay. Look it up.
It is their latest single, Human Commodity.
Okay.
Also features the lead singer from Walls of Jericho.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is another female-led hardcore band. So I fucking respect the shit out of that. I respect the shit out of a new band that rips. I always want to give them praise. It's not a classic band, but this is a new band that we found on our old band show that also made really good friends with. So
awesome, man.
So check out Capra, Capra. Anything that they have out. I don't know exactly if they have any full releases out yet, but their singles, their videos are fucking cool as shit.
Yeah.
The second video that came out, ironically, had a lot less drummer in it, and I said, how funny would it be if every music video they put out, it just has the drummer further and further away from the band. Still not good enough for you? Because at the end of the video, I was like, great song, great video, still too much drummer.
Yeah.
Just moving back a little. But that's what's been on my turntable.
Awesome, man.
Just budding friendship and great hardcore music. What about you, Jeff? What's been on your turntable?
So it's interesting. I think we share a love for what I would like to call desperate music.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is that like you can tell when the people that are making the records are just desperate. They have to get this out. Yeah. They have to make the music, or something bad's going to happen.
Yeah,
I love it. It's urgent. I love that sound. And it can apply to any genre you like. Like there's some like ballads. Sometimes you can just. I mean, you just feel it. Like they're letting it rip, and you're like, oh, man. And so one of the things that I was listening to this week was on my turntable. I want to bring up is Q-Tip, who is the main MC of A Tribe Called Quest.
Vibrant Thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
He made a series of solo records, and you should listen to his solo records.
Yeah.
Have you listened to them?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
I think I discovered Q-Tip before
A Tribe Called
a
Quest?
Tribe Called Quest. Yeah, you know what
Okay,
I'm saying?
right.
Like, so,
yeah. That's our generational gap
yeah,
right there.
okay, yeah. I was like, that's the thing. Is like, I was like, yeah, I know a Tribe Called Quest. It's
Yeah,
like, that's the guy that they also had Q-Tip in, right?
I'm generally not a huge fan of solo records, just because like I always feel like they're it's usually a result of like creative differences, and then they're like, no, I'm just going to do my own thing, fuck you, and with the exception of like Ice Cube, who I think reasonably left NWA to start his own solo career, and it worked out.
Yeah.
But
I'd
most of
say
the time,
so.
yeah, I'd say so. Most of the time, I'm not a big like solo record fan, but Q-Tip's records, they sound desperate. And in a way that is like it is like raw, like musicianship and artistry and writing, and then rapping on top of that was like
he wasn't being properly represented in a Tribe
I
Called
felt-
Quest. Like he was being held back.
no. I think that in context to a Tribe Called Quest, he was doing his job. Like this is my crew.
He was
this
playing
is
his
like,
part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was playing his part. But as just Q-Tip on his own, like he's like, I have these other thoughts.
He had so much more to.
Because it doesn't sound like a Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
It sounds like Q-Tip, like letting it rip on a way that's like much more personal.
It's so funny that you brought up the solo being against. I am somebody who is also against solo records because
Yeah.
I feel like they do. I'm against them when the artist is still in the active band
Right.
because I feel like they always, and I don't want to say negative because it's subjective. Music art is subjective,
Of course, it's subjective.
but the solo project always influences the band.
Right.
Always.
Right. And
Because
then
it's either because
Yep.
it becomes more marketable or Dustin Kensrue, I love his solo stuff, but I'm telling you, it negatively affected Thrice, in my opinion.
Right.
I don't know if those are bands that you listen to, but that's a good example of like you have to get this out, sure, but then you also like don't let it spill over. But
Right.
so a Tribe Called Quest was already done.
no.
And then he started.
No.
Okay,
No. But to be fair, like at this point, like a Tribe Called Quest is done.
Yeah.
Fife Dog died 2 years ago, I think. Or no, it was longer than that actually. But they put out like a final record, which by the way, is if you're a Tribe Called Quest fan, their last record is a phenomenal record, and very Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
But no, Q-Tip made those records in between like the times that the band was either on a hiatus or not actively touring or creating records or whatever. But it is one of the things that, to your point, I really appreciated because that was. If I listened to his solo records in context to the records they were putting out as Tribe Called Quest, it didn't destroy the records.
Yeah, it didn't affect it, yeah.
It didn't affect it. It didn't make it different. So he did his job as a member of Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
But then on his own, I just really appreciate the music on those records. So
Yeah.
shout out to Q-Tip, man.
You appreciate the artistry.
I really do. And it sounds like a guy that's like, I just have these things I need to say and I want to put them on wax, and he does it. And I'm like,
Yeah, he's not trying to prove anything. He's just
No.
got to do this. Yeah.
I got to do this thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I can totally relate to that because there's like certain things. Usually it's a goofy thing.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times.
And sometimes it is, right?
It's
right,
a lot of times
right.
like Austrian Death Machine's another good example of a side project that didn't necessarily negatively affect the band.
Right.
But the lead singer of As I Lay Dying started a side project where he did all hardcore or metalcore songs, that were named after and lyriced by a Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation that he was working on. So he penned songs about Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. So
Right.
there was "What Does Your Daddy Do?" Who is your daddy and what does he do? Get to the chopper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things of like it's usually a goofy thing or a really really serious thing, or
trying to
something
be
like
too
that.
introspective.
And it seems
or
like
too,
he was
yeah.
just like, man, I just want to fucking make some.
just-
I gotta
too-
make this music.
Yeah, I mean, listen to the song "Wait Up," and you're like this guy is and has been, continues to be, still alive, obviously. Just one of the greatest MCs to ever walk the earth.
Yeah.
And what a privilege! Like I think about this about all like the artists that we listen to, like how lucky we were to be here at this time to hear this music.
Yeah.
And so for that, I'm super grateful because like it's it's mastery.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
You're right. Yeah. And whereas I'm sitting here poo-pooing saying there's too much new music. And you're just like, no, it's really good.
Yeah, it was
Listen to it more, Pat. And I'm like,
it was better in the old days.
that's changing things. Start your own band. Yeah. So, Jeff, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Jeff again?
I do feel like me again.
Good.
Yeah. I don't like vulnerable me. It makes me feel weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
It makes me feel funny in ways that I don't like.
It makes me feel like you're weak.
Just think of it like this, guys, is that I think it's important for everyone to know that like these are thoughts, these are things that I think about. I mean, because I'm a human being. It's not like I actually think about this shit.
It doesn't change anything. We still love you just the same. It's just different.
I'm just now I'm just looked upon as weak
Yeah, that's all.
or weaker.
Now I just can't look at you exactly. I'll look at your beard instead.
I am going to fuck you guys up.